Hey everybody, I want to talk to you about how you would use this formula here to find the area of a circle like this one. So first of all, let's talk about a couple pieces of this formula here. So area equals pi. Hopefully we know that that little symbol is pi. And pi, oops, let's get on the screen here. Pi is a big, long number. For my class, though, and for many of your classes, we're going to say pi is about equal to 3.14. So some of you will have a pi button on your calculator like this one has, but if you don't have that pi button, that's okay. You can just sub in the number 3.14, and that'll get you close enough to what we need. Okay, then it's pi times the radius squared. So we need to remember what the radius of a circle is. Well, the way we find the radius of a circle is we look at the middle of the circle, and it's the measurement from the middle of the circle to the outside edge of the circle. That would be our radius. Now, the best way to measure a radius, though, isn't to just eyeball the middle of the circle. The best way to measure a radius is actually to measure all the way across the circle and then take half of that number. So for instance, if I measure all the way across this circle, it's not exact, but just to make our numbers easy, we're going to say that this circle is about 8 centimeters across. So half of that is 4. So we would say that our radius is 4. Okay? So whenever you're measuring a radius, measure all the way across and take half of that number, and that will be your radius. Okay? So let's start plugging in some numbers. So the area of our circle is pi, which I'm just going to put 3.14, times radius squared. So times, we said our radius was 4 squared. Okay? Now let's do that math. So one thing that students tend to do a lot is they do 4 times 2. Remember, that's not how you square a number. To square a number means you multiply it by itself that many times. So it would be 4 times 4. So hopefully you would know your multiplication facts well enough, but again, in my class, we can always use a calculator if you're not sure. 4 times 4 is 16. So we would put 16 there, and I'm just going to carry everything else down. I don't know how you guys are taught math these days, but this is how I was taught to do it, to do one thing at a time. So then we have 3.14 times 16. Let's do that. I already have 16 in here, so I'm just going to say times 3.14. And if I wanted to do it the best way, I would actually just press my pi button, 3 times pi, but I'll show it to you just multiplying by 3.14. So 50.24. Now, did I tell you to round? I'm going to round it. So our area is 50 point, I'm going to say 50.2, because I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So 4 or less, let it rest, which means we're going to leave that 2, just be a 2. So 50.2. Now, here's the other important thing. What unit are we using? Well, really, this radius was 4 centimeters. But then when we squared it, it became 4 centimeters squared. Okay, so that would be our unit on this number as well, centimeters squared. Now, if that's too difficult for you to remember, anytime you're measuring area, and we just measured the area of the circle, your units for area will always be centimeters squared. At least because we measured that radius in centimeters, that means our unit will be centimeters squared. Okay, so there we go, 50.2 centimeters squared is the area of our circle using that formula. I hope that helps.